Bonjour, people. Welcome to your Morning Brew, the only morning show that's served with complimentary coffee.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
We're going to be starting out with Tiffany Haddish. I don't know if you guys have seen what's going on, but I think we're seeing what we would be the equivalent of woman getting on TikTok, crying to the whole world that she can't find a man. Ever since she left Common, she's pretty much been going downhill. And that Monique diss, and yes, it was a diss, as much as she says things with such a loving tone. You got to love Monique. But she responded back to Tiffany Haddish and said, if you had a man like mine, maybe you wouldn't have 2 or 3 DUIs. Hold on, I need a moment. I didn't see that coming. But what we have right now is TMZ interviewing her about the recent trip she took to Israel, I think. And a lot of people had mixed feelings about that particular post that she made. She joked about going there and maybe finding a man. And at the time, people were calling her out because they're like, you know, she's just kind of acting kind of strange. A lot of erratic behavior. Whenever you see somebody kind of breaking down the way that she is, and she cries in this video too about not having a man. But whenever you see somebody getting DUIs and you see them kind of going downhill, usually speaks to maybe their life not going so well. But take a listen to this, guys. She's kind of all over the place. Check it out.
This is so meaningful. Tell us why you decided to go in the middle of what's going on in the Middle East right now.
I can't believe everything that I read. I need to go see for myself. I want to talk to the actual people that's here, that people that actually experience the situation that happened on the 7th, the people that actually have family members that are hostages that were taken out of their own homes, that were on their way to work, driving from Palestine to Israel, working here on a daily basis, and how they were taken as well. I wanted to talk to the people. I wanted to be with the people. I wanted to see with my own eyes, hear with my own ears.
What have you heard so far?
I've learned a lot. I learned that people were taken out of their homes. I learned that people were taken away from that actual event that was happening. All those people that were killed, there was a lot of people killed, but a lot of people were kidnapped from that event. I didn't know that before. I learned that there's 100 people that have been freed from slavery, but there's still, from being a hostage in Gaza, but there's still 100 and plus people that are over there.
One of the things that has really captured the world's attention is the scope of the retaliation by Israel. And, 30,000 Palestinians have died from all of this. Are you looking at that too? Are you looking at that part of the equation?
Yes, I'm going over there too. I'm a firm believer of go see with your own eyes before you pass judgment. Go there cautiously, be cautious, but go see for yourself.
All right, so here's where the conversation starts to take a different turn. You're going to see what I'm talking about here. Let's keep listening.
I care about both sides. I care about humanity, human beings. I know this is like a lot of religious stuff going on, a lot of control of the land, a lot of, no Jews here, no this there, whatever. That's either here nor there with me. It's about the human life, human beings, man. And that's what I care about. And so that's why I'm here.
I mean, there are people on social media who are saying Tiffany shouldn't have cracked jokes about finding a man in Israel. I got to say, in our morning meeting, it's like she's a comedian, for crying out loud. But I want to at least give you a chance to talk about that.
Here we go.
I'm here all by myself, just like I was saying in 2018 when they was asking me about Monique and her husband. And I said, I don't do my business the way she does business because I don't have a husband. I don't have what she has. Right? I'm all alone. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. I'm doing this all by myself. I don't have a whole family full of men or a man supporting me. I'm doing it on my own.
I don't know about you guys, but she sounds like she's crying there in the background. And this let me know that what Monique told her which Monique was responding to disrespect because she spoke on her husband and said, oh, I could never allow that to happen to me. And she's like, well, you might need a man the way things are looking with you right now. You actually might need some coffee too to go along with that.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
Let's keep listening.
I'm learning on my own. So for people to say, I have to make light of something that the average female wouldn't do. The average female wouldn't have the courage to go see for themselves. It's a lot of scary out here, and y'all can be scared, but I'm going to go ahead and follow my instincts and learn as much as I can learn. Educate myself before I go speaking on subject matters.
All right, so that's that. I'll be honest. I think that she's doing the opposite of what somebody should be doing if you're struggling with what sounds like mental health to me. And that's taking a break from social media and not being all up front and posting all over the place. Here are a few comments from people. We've got a guy here who says, and by taking a trip, you're going to learn the truth. This is politics. This is territorial dispute, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let me see. I'm looking for stuff that have to do with that. She's not, here's one. She's not wrapped tight. And obviously you can see that there's like some things going on right now in that woman's life. I'm starting to think Common might have been one of the best things that could have happened to her. Go away, please, Tiffany. Yeah, you know what? She's not getting any love here in the comment section at all. Is she crying about not having a man to help her? What? Here's why it's difficult for me to look at the situation with Tiffany Haddish and really be surprised by the way this is turning out. If you're going to speak on another person's husband and probably carry around the energy that you don't need a man, and you have messed up relationships with somebody as beneficial, could have been as beneficial for her as Common, you don't really get to be taken seriously when you get online and start crying. It's difficult to look at the situation and not think, well, of course, things ended up this way, right? Moving on. We've got something else I definitely wanted to address. I saw this yesterday on the Spiritual Word. The post read, woman says social media has caused division between black men and black women. What do you guys think of what this chick was saying? Let's take a listen.
But when I tell you social media is amplifying the divide between black men and black women, pages like Justin LA Boy, pages like Spiritual World, who take the most toxic messages from Twitter and all other platforms, put them in one space that are purposely.
And so by the way, this was shared on Spiritual Word. She called out Spiritual Word, Justin LA Boy,
perpetuating narratives that we really aren't interacting with in the real world. You go on a date, you're not having these conversations, but you go on social media and these conversations are constantly repeated, and none of it is solution focused. It's all what they do, what's not being done, and it's not productive. It's not pushing us forward, and what's happening is we are internalizing a lot of trauma that does not belong to us. So
say it again.
So we are internalizing a lot of relationship trauma that does not belong to us. So let's say for me personally, right, I've never been cheated on, but let's say I go and I follow a bunch of women who talk about the fact that, oh, I've been cheated on, all these niggas cheat, they steady cheating. I'm going to sit there and be like, oh yeah, niggas, they all cheat. That's all they do. And I'm sitting, I'm not self-aware.
Why is she yelling? That's the only thing, man. That the decibel voice. She does. You don't have to yell.
Aware enough to really understand that that's not even my shit. That's not my baggage. That's somebody else's baggage. So one thing we really have to do is learn how to detach from some of these messages that we are constantly internalizing. But when I
do agree with the fact that there are people who aren't self-aware enough to ask themselves, am I going through these things? Have I experienced these things? We see it all the time on TikTok. You can do that with any platform, really, even my platform. If you aren't looking at yourself and saying, are these problems I'm seeing in my life, am I actually dealing with this? And if you don't do that, then you're going to project that. But what I can't agree with is the fact that these conversations aren't happening in real life. As in, when we talk about dating, relationships, the struggles we go through. Modern women, men who lack masculine leaders and role models to look up to, delusional expectations and standards, less people getting married. I mean, it's everywhere. Divorce rates being crazy. This is real life. This is real life. And here's another thing I really want to touch on. And what I'm realizing now is I've had a lot of these thoughts. She said something there about platforms and them spewing out toxic messages with no solutions. You guys have to see this from a content creator's perspective. As a content creator, I look at it this way. I think it's really interesting that as the platform or the medium that people use to consume entertainment, education, whatever it may be, while that has changed, the actual content strategy hasn't really changed. Here's what I mean by that. News channels report on negativity 24/7, but nobody complains about news channels. Why? Because you've associated them with that's what they do, and they're not there to provide solutions. But I think what social media has done is it's made content more personal to people. I heard a celebrity talking about this. I can't remember who it was exactly. But they were talking about how celebrities are not so popular as they used to be. They're not as popular as they used to be. Take, for instance, like movie celebrities. There was a time when movie celebrities would be extremely popular. Movie theaters were packed, but things have changed. And this celebrity helped me realize that, like, now people look up to quote unquote celebrities within their own niche. And so take, for instance, like Justin, LA Boy. There's a group of people, subset of people who really are dedicated to that page. He can walk around, no one will recognize him unless he runs into somebody from that page who may recognize him. So you see what I mean? The content has become more personal, and we really interpret it a lot differently from as distant as it was back when we just used to watch the news. You look at platforms like Jerry Springer, constant, consistent negativity. And no one complains because, oh, that's just what Jerry does. But people don't understand that a lot of these platforms, whether it's an Instagram page or YouTube page, are pretty much the same thing. They raise awareness. They may have the conversation, but they're not necessarily going to have the solution. Here's another point. And I'm starting to realize why I really like this segment, because there are things like this that I just would never talk about and sort of like tangent that I'm glad I can talk about here on Your Morning Brew. Take, for instance, people get really upset with reaction pages and say, oh, you're just stealing other people's content and reacting to them. But a lot of people don't know that those are the largest types of channels here on YouTube, are reaction channels. To me, I think most media outlets are reaction channels. For example, if you look at the Shade Room, what do? They are a reaction channel. Now, they may not react, but who reacts? The audience reacts. They introduce a topic, and the audience react, and the entertainment are within the comments of those posts. And what I sort of did on my channel, you can see, is I introduced that same format and just made it convenient for people because I realized people like those comments. And that whole process is made convenient because I'll read the top comments to you guys. But they're a reaction channel. The news is a reaction channel. They bring up topics and trending news, and then they react to it with two people right there. But you view it differently because of the medium that they're using to project that actual media. unfortunately, guys, human nature, we want to know what's going on. We want to protect ourselves. We want to be up to date with what's going on in the world. And life is hard, and it's a whole lot of crazy drama, and that's a part of human nature. Here's what I also think. Anybody who thinks that it should be done differently or they want something different, there's probably a channel out there for you. And you can create it for yourself. Now more than ever, you have the power. And people think that all of a sudden society is really divided, but that's not what happened. What happened was the decentralization of media. Before YouTube, I couldn't get on any major platform. I would need a gatekeeper to let me in. They would need to tell me what to say and educate me so I don't offend the audience, so then I don't affect advertisement dollars. But social media decentralized media in general, and what you see are more people having opinions, and now you can build your own platform. And you don't have to go on Steve Harvey and agree with him and kind of say what you need to say as soft as possible. No, people now can speak their mind within reason and be straightforward about the things that they want. For years on end, a lot of this was really based in like a feminist agenda. They just can't handle seeing men speaking on platforms. That's what this really is. They don't like the fact that men are speaking proudly and being like, nah, we're not dealing with difficult women. We're not dealing with modern women. We are not. We have standards too. We are allowed to talk about what we are looking for as well. And we also want to be able to call bullshit, and we're not asking for anybody's permission. And we're going to disagree when we think that coffee is not being served. Here are a few comments here. Justin LA Boy commented, he said, spiritual word isn't very spiritual, respectfully. That's funny. I didn't even see that. Somebody else here says, she didn't say social media caused the divide. She said it's amplifying it. There's a difference. Okay. So somebody else here says, not gonna lie, spiritual word is top 3 toxic pages on social media, but we love it here. How is that possible? How is that possible? I want you guys to really think about this. They're calling a page like Spiritual Word, and I'm not going to sit here and say that they are the most Christian page, but follow me here for a little bit. This is that like the selective outrage that I can't wrap my mind around it. Top 3 toxic pages? Really? Top 3 toxic pages. Spiritual Word. Why? Well, we know why. Because they're not overly pandering to the feminist agenda. But you're telling me you can't find other 3 pages that are more toxic? Leave me out of this, please. You know, they're like, well, there is the coffee pod. But I'm like, you can't find 3 other pages on Instagram that are not more toxic? Other pages that promote a lot of toxic, immoral behavior. Notice how they never call out the real issues within the Black community. But if you drink coffee, if you're making sense, and if you have any type of influence, it's just hard for me to believe, man. There are no other toxic pages. I can't believe it. Because I bet you I could probably find 3 pages that are a lot more toxic than Spiritual Word. What is our definition of toxic? Is it a page that promotes single mothers, violence within neighborhoods? What is our definition of toxic here? That's my question, guys. Moving on. Another post here I thought was worth talking about. This post says, ladies, don't wait for him to propose. Do it yourself. This real love right here. We have a lady on her knee here proposing to this man. I'm seeing a lot of this lately. I don't know, man. I look at this and it's just cringe to me. I wouldn't have wanted my wife to propose to me. Nothing says I'm taking the role of a man more than a gesture like this. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is like some feminist shit and this chick's like, well, women can propose too. But surprisingly, they're selective with the things they want to do that men do. As you can tell in the comment section, this chick says, I'd rather shit in my hands and clap. Yo. Nope, she says. Wow. Somebody else here says, we can't trust her. She dressed for fall and summer. See, now they're clowning on her. They do this, man. Somebody else here says, ladies, y'all better not propose to no dude, ... ever. Another person here says, the moment you had to put pants on under the skirt to bend the knee, shaking my head, should have known it's a gnosis. Somebody else here added to the conversation and said, this lady got on a skirt and pants at the same time. She clearly can't make responsible decisions. Here's another comment that just says, never. So,
Put that coffee down.
they're not messing with that coffee. They're not messing with that coffee. Let's talk about Russell Wilson real quick. You know, as much shit as I've given people who try to hold Russell Wilson as like the standard that all men should try to achieve when it comes to women, I have always said that like this whole narrative that they want to push that men hate Russell Wilson and he's a terrible father, I would say that's not true. I'm sure Russell Wilson is a great guy. I'm sure he's a wonderful father. I think Sierra really is in the best position possible. I just have always said that like the reason why a lot of chicks really look at Russell and be like, oh my gosh, I want that, is because he did what most women want most men to do, which is play stepdad. And someone can hear that and say, oh, you don't like single mothers. If anything, I usually repeat that most, well, I'm not saying most, there are a lot of men out there who wouldn't mind dating a single mother if she wouldn't carry herself like the prize. All right, I'm not somebody who gets on here and says, no, it never happens. No, it happens all the time, but it's the mentality, it's the dynamic. And you got to follow me carefully here. I'm not saying that this is a bad situation for those children and for Sierra, because I think it's a great opportunity. It's a great dynamic. But would most men, with the options that are out here and single mothers, and even if they were in Russell Wilson's shoes, would they have done this? No. Men see that and they're like, you probably could have done better. Are men allowed to have, can they have those opinions? It's like men can't have opinions these days. But let a man get chose by a chick and they'll be honest and say, oh, she could have done better than him. I don't know. I don't know. You hear it with who? You hear it with someone like Rihanna. Why? Well, because Rihanna, a billionaire lady, who looks like she might be wifing ASAP Rocky, right? I see that all the time. They understand that, but then they don't understand why guys look at a guy like Russell and be like, odd choice. But listening to him talk, I then understand why I have said in the past, like, man, the guy is probably a great father. I'm sure he is, and probably a decent individual. Let's check out this video that he posted recently.
3 days later, I meet C. And when I walked in the room and I saw, little Future, he's 9 months at the time or whatever, and he crawls in my lap, and it was like, this is going to be my responsibility.
Real quick, man. Here's how I know that Russell really prays every morning, is that he's able to call that his stepson Future. When you see situations where him and Sierra have walked into concerts and Future takes a stage and they leave because there's tension between their but he's still he the only thing that can help you do that is God.
God, I remember leaving that night and God saying, God saying to me, raising this child is going to be your responsibility. And realizing that, I pray that, God, are you sure this is what you want me to do? Say, son, this is for you.
The first night?
Yeah, the first night. It's going to be your responsibility. And
was that scary?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think scary just in the sense of, not scary, but it was more so an opportunity. Like, okay, God, this is what you want me to do. This is, stepping in to raise, a child with C and this and that, and realizing that, okay, God, like, I know she's the one for me, but also too, I'm going to take this responsibility as well. Like, okay, like, and I was ready for that.
I'm a believer in God. I'm not going to speak to whether, because I don't, that's his own personal experience. But I'm weary, man. Especially when you grow up in the church and you hear people talk about how they heard God tell them something. It's. I'm weary to look at that and just be like, it was. Yes, you probably heard God audibly. That's in most cases. Most people don't hear God that way. Have I been impressed by God in my life? Yes, I have been impressed by God. But there's this problem with men who are in the church. When you are a guy in the church and you take your belief seriously, you almost feel like you need to rescue women. Like that is your job. Like if you could choose between a woman who you'd be better at peace with, probably cooperate with more, and there'll be less tension, and a woman who comes with baggage and more trauma from another relationship. A lot of Christian guys look at that opportunity as like, oh, I want to fix it. I want to do God's work. I'm having an honest discussion here. If you are someone who was raised up in the church, you understand this type of stuff. And I don't always think that that's the right move. Can it be sometimes? I'm sure it is. Did God speak to Russell Wilson? I don't know. But red flags went up when I heard that. That's my honest opinion. Let's keep listening.
I was ready for that. I was ready to, 3 days later, I meet C. Take this responsibility as well. Like, okay, like, and I was ready for that. I was ready for that. I was ready to, I love children, as you know, I love kids and everything else, but it was like, man, to help raise a child and everything else, understanding that, okay, God, you're gonna give me this opportunity. What a gift. Even Jesus himself, like Joseph was a stepdad. I was like, okay, it wasn't biologically his. So I'm like, okay, God, you're gonna give me this opportunity to love the way that you were loved, like the love.
That's a really slick way to encourage. See that right there. That's something. That's a really slick way to encourage men in church to be stepfathers. But Mary was also a virgin, right? They won't tell you that part.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
Let's keep listening. And that's not me saying that men should only marry or date virgins, because good luck with that. But I'm just saying they conveniently leave certain things out.
Of the way that you want us to love, wait, God, that you want me to. And so then, it's been an amazing journey, obviously, raising 4 kids. And
yeah, y'all have 4 babies.
Yep.
I'm going to ask the question later, like, y'all done. But, damn, bro.
He wants more kids.
Of course, more.
So y'all got 4 babies right now, might be done. What's the best piece of advice you can give us men out there on parenting?
Take this responsibility as well, like.
Not parenting, on being a father, right? And then also being specific, you said it, not much you're holding him and you're like, yo, God gave you that vision, like, yo, this is going to be your responsibility. So, like, is there a difference from, how you approach being a father, stepfather? You understand?
No. I think that when you're raising children, right, and you're married and everything else and loving, it's like, you got to love every single child as if they're yours, right? That's been the greatest gift of of raising Future and Sienna and Win and now Mora, you know, in 2 months. It's like, man, God gave me that opportunity to raise them and to love them and to
I agree with that. I agree with that. If you're going to decide to commit to marrying a single mother and you say, hey, I'm taking these kids on, you do have to treat those children the same and love them the same. This goes back to the whole issue of women thinking that they could be single mothers on their own. No, that son needs a father, that child needs a father. So I see what he's saying right there.
care for them and teach them and to love them as every day, you know, that way. And there's no difference. There's no difference in the, I think to me it's the greatest gift, and knowing that that's the responsibility to raise these 4 beautiful children all together in this. And we all come from blended families a lot of times. We all come from different this and that, but it's to be able to be one. And that's been the best part of raising these kids with C.
All right, so a few comments here I'm going to check out. So first comment here says, love him. That is by I am Courtney Michelle. She was on the channel a couple years back. Shout out to Courtney. Somebody else here says, ain't shit corny about this man. Russell is a stand-up brother. Only the unhinged, unintelligent, unhealed, and deadbeat low-life types would have an issue with this brother. Again, I don't think people necessarily need to have an issue with Russell Wilson to disagree with him deciding to set down Sierra. Now you might say, what does that have to do with you? We're it's just the opinion out here. It's just the opinion that men have. Somebody else who says, I speak for all fathers. This is the man I want my daughter to bring home. Somebody else who says, speaking negatively about this man suggests that you cannot even comprehend the depth of character he possesses. Another person who says, when he said Joseph was a stepdad, man, listen. Again, guys, it's important that you understand these Bible verses thoroughly, because, you know, they'll definitely say things in a way that will put the woman at an advantage. And they'll say, well, Joseph was a stepdad. Why can't you be? No. This is when the conversations turn into more men need to start wifing single mothers. You know, the Boyce Watkins approach to the solution for broken homes is everybody go find a single mother and wife her. Now, my opinion is you don't force people as a solution to. You don't bring them down and say, if you don't want that, then there's something wrong with you. Nah. Now, if a woman brings value, if a single mother brings value to a man and they get together, cool. Somebody else here says, why do men not like him? Again, here's another one that says, he's a man of honor and a man of God. May the Most High continue to bless their family. Let me see what else we have here. I think that's everything. There's something I wanted to say too. Oh, yes. Again, guys, when you have a community where a large percentage of the children, like 60, 70% are born out of wedlock to single mothers, then the most popular situation that those women want are Russell Wilson, which is why women popularized the Sierra's prayer. So all this makes sense if you really understand what's happening in the background and culture. Listen, man, I appreciate you for checking out this episode of Your Morning Brew. Comments down below. I'm always curious to know what you think. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.